2026 has definitely been the year that the shit has hit the fan for the E-Moto community. So if you saw the video that I did last year about Surons being confiscated and building fast e-bikes as a potential alternative that doesn't get so much attention from the cops, well, this year we're barely halfway through it as I'm making this video, and there have been many new developments in this area of the E-Moto community, none of them positive, unfortunately. It appears that we're at an inflection point where, because of exponentially more incidents of stupid riding and the results from that, e-motors are being cracked down on all across the country in the US and also in Europe, the UK, and Australia. So as I mentioned in that video, due to a kind of mass stupidity happening with lots of 12, 13, 14-year-olds riding e-motors in the street, blowing through red lights, riding wheelies through traffic, etc., spurred on by certain social media influencers with millions of followers who show them how cool, quote-unquote, it is to ride like complete idiots in the street. Well, at the time I made that video, it was becoming a bigger problem, but it hadn't yet reached critical mass. Well, now this year, like I said, we're just halfway through it, and I'd say the problem has definitely reached a point of critical mass. Just in the first half of this year alone, you're going to see here a sampling of negative news stories that have happened, related mostly to teenagers riding e-motos like complete morons through the streets. The negative stories have popped up everywhere like mushrooms, with a news story making the news at least 2 to 3 times per week. So in this video, I'm going to go over a sampling of the news stories about e-motos that have happened this year. I'm going to talk about how it's negatively affected the entire e-moto community, especially riders who have been trying to ride responsibly. I'm going to go over a really brief history of e-motos and the whole concept of fast electric bike, the fast e-bike community that preceded e-motos, and I'm going to give you my ideas on possible solutions for this, well, now huge problem. Story number 1. Vietnam veteran killed by 14-year-old wheeling in the street. The shit hitting the fan this year really started back in April with a very unfortunate incident that was reported on widely in the news, which was that an 81-year-old Vietnam veteran and substitute teacher named Ed Ashman, this happened in Lake Forest, which is Orange County, LA area. He was struck and knocked down by a 14-year-old kid on an e-moto in Lake Forest. He was wheeling in the street in front of his school at the very busy time when classes got out. At first, this Vietnam veteran was injured and hospitalized, but later, very sadly, Mr. Ashman passed away from his injuries. He survived the whole Vietnam War only to be mowed down by a 14-year-old idiot doing wheelies in front of school during the most crowded time. This stupidity is happening over and over again in communities all across the country. Like I said, it's encouraged by social media influencers and their followers who are trying to show how cool it is to ride in the street like a complete dumbass. But this story doesn't just end there. What's significant about it, the story with a Vietnam veteran, is that for the first time, parents are starting to be held responsible, and I mean held criminally liable for their kids' actions. Irresponsible parents are not teaching their kids, not showing their kids how to ride responsibly, how to ride respectfully. They're just buying them an 8 to 12 kilowatt e-moto that can go 60 plus miles an hour and not showing them how to ride carefully and teaching them to ride with respect. So, the parent in this case, she's 50-year-old Tommy Jo Meyer. She was held criminally liable, charged and held criminally liable for her son's idiotic actions that resulted in the very unfortunate death of this Vietnam veteran. Now, the thing is, this kid has had run-ins with the police before. They've stopped him doing the same idiotic behavior. They've also brought it to the mom's attention in the past about his idiotic behavior, and she was warned about it. Well, she did nothing. He continued riding, doing wheelies in the street, and this was the very unfortunate result. She was charged with involuntary manslaughter and faces over 7 years, up to 7 years in prison. As I'm recording this now, the case is currently in process in court. And now here are some news reports about this very sad incident.
New here at 5, an 81-year-old substitute teacher critically injured in a hit and run by a student on an electric motorcycle. CBS LA's Michelle Gili is in Lake Forest. She's hearing from students and neighbors who are worried about reckless riders on city streets.
Just walking. He was just walking, so it's like
just trying to go home.
Yeah.
Some e-biker hit a substitute teacher.
An 81-year-old teacher crossing the street in Lake Forest after school Thursday was run down by a teenager, deputies say.
A lot about him is like very genuine and like he cares for us and he's a good substitute.
Ed Ashman was leaving El Toro High School when a 14-year-old who investigators say was illegally driving an e-motorcycle similar to this one hit the educator. Ashman was critically injured.
I knew it was a matter of time before something like this was going to happen because a lot of the e-bikers have been misusing the, not following the laws of the road.
The sheriff's department says the teen suspected of driving recklessly on the off-road motorcycle on Toledo Way did not stop to help the teacher. Witnesses gave a description of the middle school student, and the boy was arrested nearby.
Teenager is under arrest after a violent electric motorcycle crash in Orange County leaves a beloved teacher fighting for his life. Fox 11's Gina Silva live in Lake Forest with this story. Gina.
Christine, that crash may have been an accident, but leaving the scene, leaving an 81-year-old man hurt on the ground, well, that turned it into a crime.
I think he's a really nice person, and it's really tragic what happened to him.
That's the feeling shared among students at El Toro High School in Lake Forest after a beloved substitute teacher was struck in a hit and run Thursday afternoon on Toledo Way just outside the school.
It's just kind of sad that he has to get injured this way from a stupid kid on a bike.
Witnesses initially reported that 81-year-old Ed Ashman, a veteran and substitute teacher, had been struck by a rider on an e-bike. But the Orange County Sheriff's Department says it was actually an electric motorcycle.
Generally, an electric motorcycle has a battery with 750 watt power or more. They have the capability of going 28 miles per hour or more. And they generally don't have pedals like you would normally see on a regular bike.
After hitting Ashman as he was walking across the street, investigators say the electric motorcycle rider did not stop. He was later arrested at home, and he's described as a 13-year-old.
I think it's really messed up what happened, and I think he deserves justice.
Ashman is listed in critical condition. His students at El Toro High School say they are holding out hope for his recovery.
This Lake Forest street is quiet now, but an Orange County mother is facing charges after a crash here left a Vietnam veteran and teacher fighting for his life. Gina Silva has that story from Orange County.
That's right, Christine. That mother is facing felony charges, not for what she did, it's for what she bought her son.
I've had enough with this. It's a pandemic, it's serious, and it needs to be addressed in a very serious manner.
That pandemic, according to Orange County District Attorney Todd Spitzer, is kids on illegal electric motorcycles and modified e-bikes, riding through neighborhoods and endangering everyone around them.
When that kid pulls the throttle and that motorcycle can go to 30 plus miles per hour within 2 to 3 seconds, that's a 14-year-old who doesn't have any experience with that kind of motorized vehicle.
Last Thursday, Ed Ashman, an 81-year-old Vietnam veteran and substitute teacher, was struck in a hit and run while crossing the street in front of El Toro High School. Prosecutors say the teen was popping wheelies on an electric motorcycle when he lost control and slammed into Ashman. Now the boy's mother is under arrest, charged with felony child endangerment for buying him that bike.
If we find we can prove that you're endangering the public and your child beyond a reasonable doubt, you're going to be charged with a crime.
An electric motorcycle looks like an off-road dirt bike, but runs on battery power and a license is required. E-bikes are different. They are legal to ride around town, but Spitzer says some parents are modifying them, boosting the motors so they can hit high speeds.
And what happened is a tragedy to our community, and that could have happened to any one of us walking on the street any day, our children, ourselves. So I think in the future there needs to be harsher punishment for e-bike usage, and especially on public streets.
And I want people to know that if you are engaged in this kind of possession, furnishing, aiding and abetting, and a very serious event occurs, you as a parent could be charged with a crime. In other words, I'm telling parents, be a parent, do your job.
Other news now in Orange County, a mother is being charged after prosecutors say her son injured an 81-year-old veteran with his e-motorcycle.
It happened last week, and the victim remains hospitalized in critical condition. Orange County reporter Bianca Bono has more on the charges the woman is facing.
As 81-year-old Ed Ashman fights for his life in the hospital after being struck by a 14-year-old boy illegally riding an e-motorcycle in Lake Forest, the teen's mother is facing the consequences.
She's looking at over 6 years in state prison.
Orange County District Attorney Todd Spitzer says his office has charged 50-year-old Tommy Joe Meyer with felony child endangerment, felony accessory, and 3 additional misdemeanor charges.
I'm going to prosecute parents to the fullest extent of the law.
Last week, investigators say Meyer's son was riding a Sur-Ron e-motorcycle doing wheelies outside of El Toro High School when he crashed into Ashman, a Vietnam War veteran and substitute teacher who was walking home from work. He is now hospitalized in critical condition.
We are praying that this substitute school teacher will, have a full recovery and that the charges don't change at all.
The law says e-bikes manufactured to stay under 20 miles per hour have no age or licensing restrictions, but those that have been modified or can reach higher speeds are e-motorcycles and require a motorcycle license, insurance, and registration.
It could go up to 60 miles an hour with that particular model.
And investigators say Meyer was warned by sheriff's deputies in June of last year.
We have her on body-worn camera talking about and understanding the dangers and the illegality.
We tried speaking with Meyer at her home after she posted bond, but nobody answered the door. Spitzer hopes her case sends a message to parents and prosecutors.
Either they're going to hate me for doing this, saying, why the heck would you go after a parent when this is just our kids' activity? Or they're going to say, we better really research and thoroughly understand the kinds of motor vehicles we're providing to our kids.
And the DA cannot comment on any potential juvenile charges the teen involved in this crash is facing. In Lake Forest, Bianca Bono, ABC 7 Eyewitness News.
Now at 3 o'clock, an Orange County woman has been charged for the actions of her teenage son. The DA's office charged Tommy Joe Meyer with felony child endangerment after her son critically injured an 81-year-old Vietnam veteran with his e-motorcycle. Prosecutors say the woman was repeatedly warned about letting her son illegally ride the e-motorcycle before the accident.
Now at 8, deputies in Lake Forest confiscating more than half a dozen e-bikes from a middle school.
Yeah, CBS LA assignment editor Mike Rogers at the desk now. Mike, this happening at the same school where a 14-year-old was accused of hitting and seriously injuring an 81-year-old substitute teacher.
Yeah, that's right, Susie and Gio. And tonight, the Orange County Sheriff's Department tells us that they were conducting some follow-up investigation on that crash that very seriously injured that 81-year-old. And when they found out that there were more bikes that were on that campus, they went in there and took them.
A Vietnam veteran is fighting for his life at an Orange County hospital after being hit by an e-motorcycle allegedly driven by a teenager.
And now that teen's mother is facing several charges. KTLA Orange County Bureau Chief Chip Yost live in Santa Ana. He spoke with the district attorney there. Hi, Chip.
Yeah, hello there. Yeah, we did speak to District Attorney Todd Spitzer about this today, and it's clear in announcing these charges today, he also wanted to send a message to other parents.
As a district attorney, I'm drawing the line, and I'm really going after parents.
Wednesday, Orange County District Attorney Todd Spitzer announced felony charges against the mother of a 14-year-old boy who last week at an intersection near El Toro High School in Lake Forest allegedly crashed his e-motorcycle into 81-year-old substitute teacher Ed Ashman.
Right now, as I'm talking to you, there's an 81-year-old Vietnam vet who's in an induced coma in a South Orange County hospital, and he's in incredibly serious condition, and we don't know if or when he's going to recover.
Spitzer says the 14-year-old was recklessly and illegally riding an e-motorcycle like this one at the time of the crash. And he says last year, sheriff's deputies' body cameras recorded the mother being warned that the boy was not old enough to be riding the e-motorcycle.
An Orange County mother is facing serious legal charges tonight after her 14-year-old son is accused of crashing his e-bike into an elderly Vietnam veteran. That victim has now died. Tonight, the teen's mother is facing involuntary manslaughter charges after prosecutors say she was warned repeatedly about her son's dangerous behavior.
Sandra Mitchell reports from the crash site in Lake Forest, where a memorial has been created to remember the victim.
Micah and Cher, this was actually a hit-and-run crash. The teenager on that e-motorcycle left the scene, left the victim lying in the street just behind us. You could see that small memorial there. And tonight, the Orange County District Attorney says this case should be a warning to all parents.
He was a very kind, loving person. He always told me stories of his war stories because he's a veteran. He was very humble, very kind.
2 weeks after a teenager on an e-motorcycle slammed into him, 81-year-old Ed Ashman has died of his injuries. And tonight, the teen's mother is facing felony charges, including involuntary manslaughter.
She absolutely knew and that she could have prevented this horrific incident from happening.
Orange County District Attorney Todd Spitzer says 50-year-old Tommy Jo Mayher has been contacted by law enforcement in the past, warned that her son was not legally old enough to operate the 200-pound e-motorcycle with a top speed of almost 60 miles per hour.
Absolutely illegal. He was not allowed to ride it, and she was warned that in the event he continued to ride it, she could be charged with child endangerment.
New details in the e-motorcycle hit and run that left an 81-year-old veteran critically injured. Just days after the arrest of the suspected 14-year-old driver, his mother is now facing felony charges. NBC4's Hetty Chang live in Lake Forest in front of El Toro High School, where that teacher was walking home. Hetty.
Yeah, Kathy, this incident happened on Thursday afternoon just as the kids were getting out of school. Investigators say this is where that 14-year-old middle schooler was riding his e-motorcycle doing wheelies in the middle of the street here when he struck that substitute teacher. We learned that he was arrested early Friday at a home here in Lake Forest. And yesterday, the teenager's mother was also arrested and charged with felony child endangerment.
We saw Orange County Sheriff's deputies at El Toro High School this week as they confiscated several modified e-bikes and e-motorcycles. This after the Orange County District Attorney's Office says a 14-year-old riding an e-motorcycle Thursday struck a substitute teacher and Marine veteran after school.
An e-cycle crash leads to criminal charges against the mom of the teenage rider after the boy was critically injured an elderly war vet, I should say. Leslie Marin joins us now. The kid was the rider. So the question here, Leslie, is why is the mom the one facing the charges?
An Orange County mother appeared in court this morning in connection with the deadly e-motorcycle hit and run.
She is facing involuntary manslaughter charges after her 14-year-old son allegedly struck and killed a retired Vietnam veteran, then fled the scene. KTLA Orange County Bureau Chief Chip Yost is live in Newport with more. Hi, Chip.
Yeah, hey there. Orange County District Attorney Todd Spitzer recently told us he was going to start holding parents accountable for their children's actions on e-bikes and e-motorcycles. And this morning, an Orange County mother was in court to face charges of involuntary manslaughter. Here is a picture of that mother in the courtroom here in Newport Beach. This is 50-year-old Tommy Major of Aliso Viejo. She is charged with involuntary manslaughter and contributing to the delinquency of a minor and other charges related to the death of a man in Lake Forest that happened last month. Her son, a 14-year-old, was on an e-motorcycle when investigators say he ran into the 81-year-old. The 81-year-old later died. Here is a picture of the victim in this case. This is 81-year-old Ed Ashman. He was a substitute teacher at El Toro High School in Lake Forest. On April 16th, he was leaving the school when the 14-year-old boy allegedly hit him with his e-motorcycle and then left the scene. Ashman died about a week later from his injuries. According to prosecutors, the mother had been warned previously of her son's actions on that e-motorcycle and that it was illegal for him to be riding it and that she could potentially face charges if she continued to let him do so.
Court appearance today for the Orange County mother charged in connection with the deadly e-motorcycle crash that killed an 81-year-old man. Prosecutors say she was warned multiple times that her teen son was riding illegally.
Orange County reporter Bianca Bono live in Newport Beach with the details. Bianca.
Yeah, it was the first time that we have seen Tommy Jo Major in court, and if convicted as charged, she faces more than 7 years in prison. No comment from Tommy Jo Major as she walked out of court in Newport Beach charged with involuntary manslaughter. Prosecutors say her 14-year-old son killed 81-year-old Ed Ashman while riding an e-motorcycle in Lake Forest. It happened last month outside of El Toro High School, where Ashman, a Vietnam War veteran, was a substitute teacher. Prosecutors say the vehicle involved was a Suron Ultra B, classified as a motorcycle, so it requires a motorcycle license and registration. Following the deadly crash, investigators say Major claimed neither she nor her son had access to the e-motorcycle. Major, who posted her $100,000 bond, was set to be arraigned this morning, but the hearing was continued to late June. In a written statement, her attorney saying in part, Tommy Major is anguished over the terrible accident. She sends her deepest condolences and sorrow over this tragedy. This has been devastating for everyone. It is premature to make any other statement.
And the DA's office is unable to comment on what, if any, charges the teen is facing in this case. The victim, Ed Ashman's family, was also present in the courtroom today. Reporting live in Newport Beach, Bianca Bono, ABC 7 Eyewitness News.
Bianca, thank you.
The mother, charged in connection with her son's e-motorcycle crash that killed an elderly man, faced a judge today.
CBS LA's Leslie Maring live in Lake Forest with what happened in court. Leslie?
And it's the first time we saw this mother, Tommy Majors, in person. She did not enter a plea today, but the family of the victim was also in court. And this memorial, a reminder of how much he's meant to this community.
Story number 2, 13-year-old killed in Garden Grove riding a Suran. The second story that made really big news this year was another sad case of someone losing their lives. This time it was the rider. A 13-year-old kid was riding a Suran in Garden Grove, which is also in the LA area, at night. He hit a median and he passed away. In my research for this video, I found at least 2 other cases in the past year of teen riders who have also lost their lives while riding e-motos. So here are some of the news stories and the coverage about this case.
Our top story, the deadly crash reigniting a fierce debate over safety and parental responsibility. Fox 11's Gina Silva is live in Garden Grove with the latest on this investigation. Gina.
Christine, it is such a tragedy. A family now is mourning the loss of their loved one, a teenager who was riding an electric motorcycle, and sadly, he lost his life.
It's hard. You know, he's 13. There's a lot going through the family's mind, a lot going through our minds, a lot going through the community's minds. Like, how can we stop this from happening?
The boy was only 13 years old. He was riding this electric motorcycle in Garden Grove Thursday night. Police say he lost control at 35 miles per hour, hit the median, and later died.
It seems like every couple days, every week, somebody in Orange County has a story about an e-bike accident or an e-motorcycle accident. It's tragic. It's tragic.
The electric motorcycle the boy was riding has no pedals and is illegal on public streets. It's also illegal for someone his age.
So this e-motorcycle is not street legal. So it doesn't matter what licenses, how old you are. This particular one is illegal. So this would be meant for more of like off-highway.
This deadly accident comes less than a month after a 14-year-old boy in Lake Forest crashed his electric motorcycle into 81-year-old Ed Ashman, a veteran and substitute teacher. In that case, the Orange County District Attorney charged the boy's mother with involuntary manslaughter for buying her son that bike. DA Todd Spitzer issued this warning to parents last April.
I'm letting parents know loud and clear. If you know that your child is in possession and using one of these vehicles, after a full investigation, of course, if we find we can prove that you're endangering the public and your child beyond a reasonable doubt, you're going to be charged with a crime.
I don't want people getting upset about it. I want people to try to take action. Let's try to change the problem so we're not having these issues and educate our children, educate our adults. It's not just kids, right? Adults ride these things, and it's just everybody needs to be more cautious and educated.
All right, we're learning more about the 13-year-old boy who died after police say he lost control of his e-motorcycle in Orange County. Police just identified him as Benson Nguyen from Santa Ana. NBC4's Hetty Chang is live in Garden Grove, where the memorial for him continues to grow. Hetty.
Yeah, Annabelle, and you can see that memorial for 13-year-old Benson Nguyen behind us here. It really is growing by the hour. So many messages saying LLB, long live Benson. We learned from his friends today that he not only loved riding, he also loved being part of a popular lion dance troupe here in Garden Grove. We were his second family. Team leader Jasper Nguyen shared this group photo of the Tunyi Tong Dragon and Lion Dance Association motorcycle, which California law requires riders to be 16 years old and have a motorcycle license. The Orange County District Attorney sending a strong message of accountability to parents after charging the mother of a 14-year-old e-motorcycle rider after the death of an 81-year-old in Lake Forest last month. And now, online retail giant Amazon restricting the sale of high-speed e-bikes in California that exceed state speed limits.
I mean, I'm all for options, but it's about safety. It's about kids and safety, so it's a different concern. They're powerful, that much is clear.
Yeah, police investigators here in Garden Grove are asking anyone who witnessed the crash here on Thursday night to please give them a call. We also received a statement today from the Garden Grove Unified School District letting everybody know that grief counselors are available to families who need them.
Well, a 13-year-old boy has died after crashing his e-bike on a busy roadway in Garden Grove.
The deadly accident is the latest in a string of tragedies involving teens and motorized bikes, and now critics are calling for tougher rules and enforcement. Rachel Medetoff live in Garden Grove with more on the crash and the growing outcry. Rachel.
Micah MB, the teen's friends tell us he was a student at Irvine Middle School, and as you can see here behind us, a group has gathered and created a memorial in his honor at the crash site. The vast majority of people we've been speaking with say that teens on e-bikes is a danger to themselves and to others. A 13-year-old boy is dead after crashing into the center median at the intersection of Larson and Magnolia in Garden Grove. The e-bike was not street legal and only meant for off-roading.
I couldn't sleep and
Eduardo Avalos found the young man struggling to breathe. He told us he's no longer allowing his kids to get on a motorized bike, given what he witnessed.
The way he was gasping for air, I mean, I was holding him. I took off his helmet, I held his face because I was choking with the helmet, bro.
The tragic loss comes less than a month after a 14-year-old allegedly crashed his e-motorcycle into 81-year-old Ed Ashman in Lake Forest. Weeks later, the Vietnam veteran and substitute teacher died. It prompted an investigation and an arrest of the teen's mom, who had previously been warned about the dangers of letting her son ride illegally. And Beth says if teens are riding e-bikes, it should be on a sanctioned off-road path with a trainer who can show them how to do it safely. If you'd like to learn more about her work, you can go to ktla.com.
Yeah, Maria, this is a tough one. This happened late afternoon in a residential neighborhood. We are at the corner of Oak and Royal Streets. We just got ring video that shows the accident. We are going to freeze that video before the bike strikes the car. But you'll see a car pulling away from the curb on Oak Street, and as the driver makes the left turn onto Royal, an electric dirt bike speeds into the intersection and slams into that car, sending the 13-year-old rider airborne. He landed hard on the road. Neighbors rushed to help, but that teenager died of his injuries at Mass General in Boston. Stoneham police say a 73-year-old man was behind the wheel of the Toyota Corolla that the e-bike collided with. No charges at this hour. The Middlesex DA's office and the state police are also helping with the investigation. The victim's name has not been released, but neighbors say they believe he is local. He was with two other teens when this happened, and they say they see these teens riding their e-bikes up and down the roads and around this area. Just a really difficult evening for this neighborhood here. We're live in Stoneham. I'm Mary Saladna, WCVB News Center.
So those are the two biggest stories so far from 2026, but they're far from the only ones. There have been many, many more. So now we're going to go over some of the different news stories that have happened city by city all across the country. I'm showing here mostly news from the U.S. because I'm American. That's where I used to live. But obviously there's also been more and more cases in the UK, Europe, France and Germany, and in Australia. Like I said, we're only halfway through the year, and there have already been so many stories like this. Every week, more and more stories. And the bottom line is, you know, from dumb behavior, riding like an idiot, like the law doesn't apply to you, traffic rules don't apply to you, the laws of physics don't apply to you, and again, kids being encouraged by social media and influencers that this kind of behavior is, you know, quote unquote cool and funny. It's raised police awareness to level 11 out of 10. It's also raised media attention, negative media attention, to level 11. And, you know, the thing is, it's causing big negative results for the E-Moto community as a whole, especially people who try to ride responsibly and respect traffic rules and ride in a way on the street so as not to draw attention to yourself. Because the bottom line is, all this negative attention, all this police attention, it's headed toward leading to a total ban for street riding E-Motos, even if you're riding carefully, responsibly, and trying to stay under the radar. These kids, these 12-year-olds, like I say, with underdeveloped frontal brain lobes, riding with maximum stupidity, because, that's the funniest thing you can do. Put on a GoPro, do a TikTok or an Instagram reel of you riding a wheelie through the main street, down Ventura Boulevard in LA or Woodward Avenue in Detroit, riding a wheelie through traffic. Oh, look, it's so funny. Look, cops chased us. Well, the thing is, that stupidity is basically destroying the entire E-Moto hobby. So, here you go. Here's a sampling of the other news stories so far this year.
A trip to Walmart turned into chaos when teens on e-bikes and mini motorcycles took over the store. Now this latest incident sparking fresh debate over e-bike safety and whether enough is being done to stop reckless riders.
KTLA's Sandra Mitchell joins us live in Hollywood with more. Sandy?
Sharon, Micah, we have all seen these dangerous riders on the streets, and now some of them are getting even bolder, going right into stores. Tonight, I talked with a man who says his family was really stunned and frankly scared when they started revving right through a Walmart.
Punks, get the out of here before you hurt someone.
Chaos in an Orange County Walmart. Kids on e-bikes and e-motos terrorizing shoppers.
I was yelling at them to get out, and none of the store employees were doing anything.
That's 61-year-old Vince Vasquez on his mobility scooter. He says the teens almost crashed into his wife and daughter, who has autism.
And it really startled my daughter. I yelled at them to stop.
It happened Sunday afternoon inside the Walmart in Foothill Ranch. No one was hurt, but the riders got away. An Orange County Sheriff's Department spokesperson telling KTLA the incident did not result in criminal charges, but the potential for someone to be harmed, damages to the store, or trespassing charges are very real. It is the latest incident involving riders on e-bikes and e-motorcycles causing dangerous, sometimes deadly situations. In April, a 14-year-old allegedly struck and killed an 81-year-old.
E-bike hoons have torn through a shopping centre in our nation's capital, with ACT police now hunting 3 youths. The riders were caught on camera at the South Point shopping centre in Greenway at 8 p.m. last night, doing burnouts and leaving massive skid marks on the floor. The ride-out caused damage to the centre, police seeking to identify the young offenders. It comes as significant e-bike law reforms are rolled out across other Australian states.
One more local news. Videos sent to Island News show dozens of teenagers causing havoc on the roadways this weekend in Windward, Oahu. And our Kimber Collins shows us the scene going viral on social media and what some members of the community are doing to change it.
I'm here on Kainalu Drive in Kailua, and as you can see, the traffic stays busy here no matter what time of day it is. But over the weekend, dozens of teenagers were seen on e-bikes packing the streets, causing many in the community to raise questions about safety.
It's not legal.
This was the scene at Mokapu Boulevard, where you can see a pack of bike riders holding up traffic at the H3 intersection. Another video shows a pack down the road at Kainalu Drive. While e-bikes are popular for speed and convenience, there's growing concerns that without more education or supervision, these weekend stunts could end in tragedy.
Although I love watching the kids ride out and I enjoy seeing the wheelies and all that kind of stuff, but God forbid one of those people crash in front of you or me. That doesn't only affect the person that crashed and got ran over, it affects the person who actually crashed into and ran over that person. And I don't think that they quite understand or grasp the concept of that quite yet.
Honolulu Police tells Island News they are aware of the videos and are working to address reports of unsafe driving.
The Attleboro Police Department has released data showing a growing trend of incidents involving kids operating e-bikes recklessly.
Last month alone, the department reported that there were 27 incidents involving this type of conduct. Ethan Logue was in Attleboro today, and he has the story. Ethan?
Since November of 2024, the Attleboro Police Department has responded to roughly 143 calls for kids riding e-bikes in a dangerous and reckless manner.
The Sarasota County Sheriff's Office issues a new warning to parents and teens, this time about what they're calling E-Motos, or electric motorcycles or dirt bikes. It comes as doctors continue to talk about the dangers of e-bikes too, and as we've seen, inexperience can lead to tragedy. Fox 13's Danielle Zukoski is in our newsroom tonight. Danielle, what's the message they're trying to get across?
Well, this new warning from the sheriff's office reminds everyone that you need a license and registration for an E-Moto, and dirt bikes are not street legal.
Sit down. What is wrong with you?
This is the video that caught people's attention on Facebook. A tough love lesson after a Sarasota sheriff's deputy pulled over a 14-year-old on an E-Moto.
Let me ask you a question. Do you want to go to jail? Do you know you can go to jail?
According to Florida law, to drive an E-Moto or a dirt bike, you need a license, and it needs to be registered like a car or traditional motorcycle. And these bikes are still not street legal.
Did you know that this is a vehicle by Florida law? It's an E-Moto, not an e-bicycle. Which means you have to have it registered. Number two, you're not old enough to have a license.
Similar conversations are happening regarding e-bike safety, except it's legal for teens to get on these types of bikes.
You can have a pretty significant injury, a brain injury, and you could also suffer internal injuries. Most injuries off an e-bike are usually extremity injuries in addition to head injuries.
But doctors say E-Motos can be more dangerous than an e-bike.
It's really just everything with the e-bikes, and it's just amplified given that you can be going a significantly higher rate of speed. So it's just, it's just everything we see. The worst.
Doctors say parents need to watch out for their children's safety and make them wear protective gear.
The town of Vermilion, especially in the summertime, a good city to navigate on an e-bike.
And it's easy to get around town. If you're just doing something local in town, it's the best way to get around. If people on the streets would comply with everybody.
Get off the bike. No, get off the bike.
Vermilion police stopping two teens they say were riding recklessly in traffic.
A 4-lane road, and they're weaving in and out of traffic, doing wheelies at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. It's, obviously inherently dangerous to do that.
Don't push me, okay? You understand me? You don't push the police. Do you understand me?
A 14-year-old resisting when the officer catches up with him.
Why are you running?
I didn't really try to run.
A 13-year-old who was with him found outside nearby apartments.
Your buddy did the wheelie. Okay. I never said you did. Your buddy did the wheelie. I light you guys up way back by Speedway.
The teens charged with no operator's license, no display of plates, and reckless operation.
We didn't charge them with the fleeing and eluding and all that kind of stuff, felonies. We didn't do that. Could have.
Police say the bikes they were on were not street legal and could not be legally driven by kids 13 and 14 years old. Something they and their counterparts across the state are dealing with more often as e-bikes become more popular.
I wanted to get the word out to parents that if you're going to be buying your children these e-bikes or e-scooters or e-dirt bikes, know what you're getting, right? Know what you're providing to your child.
And know that authorities, including Vermilion Police,
this is an electric dirt bike. Right.
Are going to enforce the laws and impound the e-bikes.
Switching gears now to the 14-year-olds who are driving motorcycles without a license or insurance.
It's not only illegal, it's extremely dangerous.
The kids are flying by, sometimes 2 on a bike. Sometimes they have helmets, sometimes they don't. Sometimes they don't even have lights, and they're flying down the street. It's nuts. What are parents thinking?
Boulder County Sheriff's Office says those parents might not know what's going on. It's a problem, though, that we've been tracking across the Front Range. Law enforcement in each of these shaded areas are cracking down on these modified e-bikes that can drive at highway speeds. Tonight, your reporter, Sarah Herbakowitz, shows us how Boulder County is working to slow kids down.
Reckless driving. How about that? You're doing wheelies on a motorcycle in the park.
In Boulder County, police are cracking down on e-bikes.
Do you have insurance and registration and a license for this? Oh, sure. No, that's what I thought.
The sheriff's office says they're seeing more illegal e-bikes on the road, giving dozens of citations in the last year for what often classifies as a type of motorcycle.
These are extremely dangerous. We actually pulled over an electric motorcycle the other day, and it was 59 miles an hour on an electric motorcycle. And it was a 14-year-old riding it.
The bikes have been involved in crashes like this one at a Safeway in Superior last year. Doctors say they're seeing kids in the area land in the ER regularly.
Luckily, he wasn't injured, but you can see the speed. I mean, he's driving, 2-3 miles an hour? He's going 20 to 30.
Do you think parents know?
No. I think that's one of the biggest problems is the education piece.
This bike is a Class 2, which means it can go on bike lanes and not more than 20 miles per hour. These controls keep it that way, and the pedals can pedal assist the bike forward. These classifications, though, mean it's not street legal. What bike shops say is a lot of teens are buying bikes that look like these, but can be hacked to go up to 60 miles an hour.
Locals say some e-bikers are riding recklessly through the area. They say it's a growing problem that's getting dangerous. Wing News reporter Bridget Bruchowski spoke with one woman who witnessed teens popping wheelies, taunting drivers, and taking over the road.
What started as a simple drive with her mother and son quickly turned into a terrifying encounter for one Cape Coral woman. She said a group of teens on e-bikes began weaving in and out of traffic, creating what she calls a real safety issue.
They were on the sidewalk and then they just zoomed into the middle of the street and they started popping wheelies and a bunch of cars were honking at them, myself included, because it's like, children, what are you doing? This is not safe for anybody.
Sarah Connor says she was driving down Santa Barbara Boulevard when a group of teens on e-bikes took over the road.
They started taunting everybody, doing like hand gestures, turning around, like yelling at people, swerving in and out of all the lanes. It was getting kind of scary because it's like, are they going to lose control of their bikes?
She posted about the incident online and quickly realized she's not alone.
There was at least 80 comments on the thread, and then I searched the Cape Coral group for like e-bike and I found other posts as well.
Connor says these kids have been spotted causing trouble all over town.
I did some digging and found out that they've been terrorizing Cape Coral for at least a year now.
And welcome to 12 News at 5. I'm Kariba Devine.
I'm Mark Curtis. New video out of the East Valley shows the chaotic moments of a street takeover. People riding their bikes through the streets and sidewalks of downtown Tempe, creating serious problems and dangerous conditions for drivers.
12 News journalist Chase Golightly spoke with Tempe police about the situation, learning just how many people were involved.
There were up to 200 people in this incident. It ended with at least one adult arrested and multiple teenagers detained.
Wow, that's crazy.
It's a situation many in Tempe have never seen before.
Just a stampede of them just riding through every single light.
On Saturday night along Mill Avenue, people on dirt bikes, ATVs, and e-bikes took over the streets and sidewalks, blowing through red lights, blocking intersections, and even driving into oncoming traffic.
They have no care.
It's a lot of them.
Kevin Karwowski, who lives downtown, says he saw it in person, taking his own video.
Well, I was laying in bed originally sleeping, and then I heard a bunch of honking outside, so I went to go check it out, and then there was just a whole stampede of just the bikes going straight down, like endless, them like turning straight onto 6th Street here, just continuously, like more and more coming down.
Tempe police spokesperson Lindsay Fernandez says this takeover started as a social media post online. It began in Phoenix and ended here in Tempe when officers went after the riders.
We had patrol officers, we had bike officers, we have officers in unmarked units.
Given the size, she says many got away, but police still arrested at least one adult and detained multiple teenagers. The ages of those involved range from adults to as young as 10 years old.
Good evening. Sydney police are on the warpath tonight after what they call a reckless and dangerous stunt on the Harbour Bridge that could have ended in many injuries, even deaths.
A rampaging gang of teenagers on e-bikes caused havoc late yesterday, and police are now pleading with parents to help end the madness.
Hoons on two wheels take over our bridge.
Get in, you gonna choose me.
Making U-turns in front of traffic in a TikTok tango with trucks.
This could have very easily ended in many deaths.
This is Grand Bike Auto in peak hour.
No consequences, no idea who they are. Desperate police appealing to parents.
We don't want to be knocking on your door and telling you that your child has been killed in one of these stupid ride-outs.
Gangs tearing up a Cronulla golf course, swarming another at Long Reef. An elderly woman left bruised and with a brain bleed after she was hit at a bus shelter.
I accept that the current situation is intolerable and it's dangerous for a lot of people. We're working on a program and we'll have more to say soon.
The opposition wants licence plates.
Identification on those bikes would have meant police could be knocking on doors this morning and taking those bikes off the street.
Well, e-bike hoons are on the run on the Gold Coast this morning after pelting a bus with rocks and causing the driver to crash. Gold Coast Councillor Nick Marshall joins me now. Nick, good morning to you. Nice to see you. Look, you've been trying to crack down on e-bike hoons on the Goldie for a while now. How did you feel when you heard about this story over the weekend?
Oh, my heart broke. I mean, there's a lot of people in the community that are already, I guess, intimidated and scared about e-bikes. And I mean, this is more than just e-bikes. This is kids just doing the wrong thing. And to see that news, sort of my heart dropped.
Just terrible, isn't it? I mean, just look at the damage there. I mean, it could have gone catastrophically wrong.
Absolutely. Like, it could have been a far worse scenario. It was bad enough as it was, but it could have ended up, you know, in a death. And the driver's obviously in hospital and she's recovering. But
now at 5:30, a teenager leads Fontana police on a dangerous e-bike pursuit as reports of reckless incidents on the roads grow with e-bikes. Good evening. This is the KTLA 5 News at 5:30. I'm Cher Calvin.
And I'm Micah Ullman. Law enforcement is now cracking down on the bad e-bike behavior.
The blame now being placed on the parents of many of these kids. KTLA Shelby Nelson spoke with police about the issue and joins us live from Fontana. Shelby?
Hi, Sharon, Micah. Yeah, and Fontana police have received several complaints from the community about these e-bike and e-motorcycle riders, traffic violations, several things that they see out on the road. And that's why they're upping their enforcement. In fact, they were doing that during this incident.
He just took off and basically looked back at the officers and just, he knew he was being followed. He could see them.
And yet this teen, who police say was illegally riding an e-motorcycle, shows no regard for the officer following him. Video from May 21st shows not one, but two riders. You see them popping wheelies and standing up while riding through the Hunter's Ridge area of Fontana. Both are wearing helmets, but instead of stopping, one of them leads police on a pursuit and rides down into a water channel tunnel.
It's an off-road situation, so they just physically, the vehicles could not pursue any further. So that's why they had the support of the air unit.
The rider, who police say is a 15-year-old, got away that time, but through detective work, they identified him, serving a search warrant at his home a week later. And turns out this is the fourth pursuit he's led police on.
15-year-old juvenile talked to the parents. The parents claimed to not know what he was doing. It's a Ciron off-road motorcycle, so they are not built, they're not legally meant to be on the road without the proper placarding and lighting equipment. And also to operate an e-motorcycle, which this one is, you have to have an actual valid M1 or M2 motorcycle license.
It's not just Fontana police who are dealing with the surge in teens illegally riding e-motorcycles. It's happening across the state, and now lawmakers are cracking down. This Orange County mom facing involuntary manslaughter for allegedly allowing her son to illegally ride his e-motorcycle when he fatally struck an elderly man earlier this year.
Being a mom that has a son that has an e-bike, there's a lot of parents that aren't giving ground rules to these kids.
Tommy Montgomery and her family are avid off-roaders. She's noticed the problem with kids riding in the street and believes it boils down to parents.
From day one when he got the bike, we told him we set ground rules. We're not wheeling up and down busy streets. We're not riding in the middle of a street like you're a car. You are to ride it in the dirt, in the hills.
Now, in the case of that Fontana teen, his e-motorcycle was seized as evidence and he was charged for felony evading. In the meantime, as we hear from law enforcement officials all the time, parents, make sure that you are in the know with your kids, know the difference between e-bikes and e-motorcycles, and know what they can and cannot ride.
Well, a group of teens on e-bikes accused of attacking a man in Huntington Beach while he and his wife were enjoying the boardwalk.
Irina Nakano live in Huntington Beach, where she spoke to the man who claims the teens hurled a bottle at them, and it's a story you'll see right here on CBS LA. Rena?
Yeah, that's only part of it. The man told me that he and his family moved here to Huntington Beach 2 years ago to get away from the riffraff, but now he's right in the thick of it.
Now at 10, assaulted by an e-bike gang in Roseville. That's what one man is claiming happened to him while on a walk with his 10-year-old daughter. Tonight, he's warning others about this e-bike encounter. Good evening. Thanks for joining us for the CBS 13 News at 10. I'm Steve Large. Roseville police are investigating. This all happened on a trail near Adam Becerra Park in Roseville. Your reporter, Troy Apodaca, has the father's call for action.
A CBS 13 viewer reached out to us about what happened to him out on this trail. His concern is that a child on their e-bike is going to get seriously hurt before things get better. A father and his 10-year-old daughter confronted by nearly a dozen e-bike riders after dark on this Roseville trail.
A group of youths on illegal e-bikes has taken over a popular Gold Coast park, forcing parents to take their kids home. Let's go live to Today Queensland reporter Mia Glover in Miami. Mia, this isn't the group's first meetup.
Good morning to you again, Lizzie. No, it's not. This is the second meetup of its kind. In the first meetup, locals took to the local community Facebook page and said that they had water bombs and rocks thrown at their cars. This latest one happened just on the weekend. More than 30 youths on e-bikes, some of them illegal, descended here at the pump track and the bike track here at Pizzey Park in Miami. There were so many of them carving up the park that there were a lot of parents and their little ones who simply had to leave because they were just too scared. It was too dangerous with those e-bikes. Police did swoop on them very quickly, though.
Local teens riding e-bikes accused of multiple attacks in local beach communities.
Fox 11's Matthew Seedorf, he's live there in Hermosa Beach, where a middle school principal says some of those attackers attend his campus. Matthew.
A Huntington Beach man says he was attacked by a group of teens on e-bikes while on the boardwalk with his wife. The victim says someone hit him in the head with a glass bottle and knocked him to the ground, where a mob of teens attacked.
One North Carolina town has had it with bad and often dangerous behavior on illegally modified e-bikes. As Matt Steele reports, the police department is issuing a stern warning tonight that could lead to criminal charges.
Is intolerable, is unacceptable, and we're done.
Cornelius police say when it comes to illegal e-bikes, enough is enough.
What we have seen by some of these teenagers and kids in this town riding on these roadways, sidewalks, and greenways is dangerous. It's dangerous for your child.
The department taking their message to social media to remind parents and teens of the city's ordinance, which bans modified e-bikes on Cornelius streets.
In order for an e-bike to be an e-bike, it has to have operable pedals. It cannot have a motor bigger than 750 watts or 1 horsepower, and it cannot exceed 20 miles per hour on a flat level surface.
Police Chief David Bockham calls anything other than that an electric dirt bike.
They're running 50, 55 miles per hour.
Bockham showing us this police drone video of a rider on Highway 115 in the middle of the day.
They're darting out of traffic, they're speeding, they're riding wheelies, they're riding down sidewalks at a high rate of speed that people are walking on. And some of these vehicles will go 45, 50 miles per hour, and that just is simply too fast. We cannot actively pursue them like they're in a stolen vehicle or something like that, because I'm not going to take that chance.
Bockham says the most reckless of the riders tend to be 12 to 14-year-olds.
Now at 10:30, an e-bike boom in Orange County is causing concern for residents and tourists as popularity of the electric bikes soar. Police say many of the young riders are ignoring the rules, creating danger for themselves and others. In some cases, the unsafe riding has led to crashes and even fatalities.
Now, residents are urging local leaders to put more rules in place to protect the public. KTLA's Chris Wolf joins us live from Huntington Beach tonight. Chris.
That's right. Good evening, Micah and Cher. E-bikes certainly are growing in popularity, but not everyone is happy about that trend. Critics say riders, young people, usually teenagers, are just too reckless. Seal Beach police say they're investigating a traumatic collision between an e-bike and an elderly female pedestrian on Thursday, March 12th. The victim remains in critical but stable condition, having suffered major injuries. The e-bike operator is under 18, according to authorities. The case demonstrates the reason for growing concern and frustration among the public that too often these modified or powered bicycles and those who ride them are out of control. There are reports of reckless behavior, high speeds, traffic violations, and illegal modifications, especially among teenagers. In fact, the Newport Mesa Unified School District is considering a ban on students riding e-bikes to campus because of safety concerns.
Give me on chill 5, let's go!
We found several e-bike enthusiasts in Huntington Beach this Friday, and those who have to navigate around them.
I mean, I'm a surfer, so today even coming out,
It's like honestly playing chicken crossing the road. I mean, I'm looking left and right, and these guys are like zooming by, and I'm like, honestly, it feels like Tron Legacy with these guys and their lights going down so fast.
E-bikes have become a danger on our streets as parents struggle to control teenage hoons that are terrorising drivers and pedestrians. Police charged with cracking down to keep everyone safe on our roads and footpaths. Liam Tapper has more.
E-bikes have become a huge problem, not just for parents, but police and our emergency services. Each week, fatalities, serious injuries, they continue to rise, and 2026 is set to be an even worse year. But we were granted access behind the thin blue line out with the New South Wales Highway Patrol team last week for 2 days, all part of Operation E-Voltage. This crackdown, it was focused around Cronulla in Sydney South. It's one of the hotspots right around the country for irresponsible and illegal e-bike behaviour. As part of this 2-day crackdown, police were focusing on largely teenagers who were breaking the road rules.
This new video is pretty jarring. It is wild to see these e-bike takeovers. All of this video is in Queen Creek specifically. Now, to be clear, Queen Creek Police Chief Randy Bryce is not saying e-bikes are inherently the problem, but he does consider them to be a nexus of teen crime that can cultivate a mob mentality of wrongdoing. New stats from Queen Creek Police show a 107% increase in juvenile disturbance in e-bike calls in the first part of 2026 compared to the same time frame last year. And police say what teens are doing on these e-bikes can be dangerous. New video you're looking at now shows large groups of them taking over major roads, parking lots, and parks. In one case caught on camera, you can see a teen on an e-bike hit someone else on a bike going 32 miles per hour. That victim flies off their bike and then the suspect flees the scene. Just crazy. Chief Bryce believes e-bikes contribute to the big gatherings that can lead to violence.
The problem becomes is now you have the ease of them gathering quickly and they can move quickly, and we can't, it's very, without being very aggressive, because we don't necessarily want to pursue kids into streets for civil offenses and cause problems. We have numerous where they'll actually taunt us to chase them, and so they want that activity, they want the clicks, and they want to put that on TikTok. So there's that interaction with us, but then they want to do that as they group up and they make some interesting choices to just be risky.
Causes a lot of problems, and he says many of the situations that start on e-bikes end in assaults.
Well, a Melbourne mum is speaking out this morning after her husband and young children were taunted and allegedly attacked by a teen e-bike gang. Hilary Holmes joins me now live in Melbourne. Hilary, good morning to you. This is just awful. Talk us through what happened.
Crash caught on camera. An SUV hits a boy on an e-bike in a crosswalk, almost running him over. But it's not the driver who's facing charges tonight. Milford police say the teenager on the bike is the one who broke the law. Thanks for being with us tonight. I'm Lisa Hughes. Tammy Mutasa spoke with the police chief, who says he's had enough of this reckless behavior on e-bikes.
Tonight, it's a growing problem in this town. Police say they've had 3 e-bike crashes in just the past 2 days, including a teen boy who was hit in this intersection, but he ended up facing charges.
E-bikes are crazy. They're going down the street, they're not even looking, they're not wearing helmets.
Speeding to beat a red light led this e-bike rider right into the path of a car with a green light.
Chaotic chase between deputies and 2 teenagers prompted the Flagler County Sheriff to take matters into his own hands.
So now the sheriff is spearheading a crackdown on e-bikes. This latest incident happened in Palm Coast. And that's where we find Fox 35's Chris Lindsay this evening. So Chris, right now it's pretty hard to regulate these e-bikes.
Yes, ever since they eased the e-bike rules at the state level, local law enforcement has had their hands tied. The sheriff believes a citywide ordinance will bring back some structure.
Enough is enough. Flagler Sheriff Rick Staley is tired of seeing incidents like this.
I'm sorry.
Last week, 2 teens were arrested, accused of speeding on e-bikes on the sidewalk, driving towards oncoming traffic, and taking off on deputies who tried to stop them.
It's one of the reasons why I finally had enough and asked my general counsel to draft an ordinance that we can give to the city of Palm Coast.
Fox 11 has been following efforts in the South Bay to crack down on teens doing dangerous stunts on e-bikes.
It's been a big problem, and this latest incident may have involved setting off illegal fireworks on the Hermosa Beach Pier. Take a look at this. This is video that was shot on Saturday night. Whoa! A group of young people on e-bikes tossing fireworks into Pier Plaza, just a few feet away from bystanders. There were kids around.
Dozens of teens on motorbikes spotted disrupting traffic in Northern Virginia.
Fairfax County Police responded to that crazy scene. Fox 5's Shamari Stone has the story from Tyson's Corner.
Tonight, some drivers tell me that this was extremely dangerous. They say that the teens could have caused a serious accident, hurting other drivers or themselves. Let's take a look at the video. Take a look. Nearly 100 teenagers, some recklessly riding motorbikes in McLean near Tyson's this afternoon as they pop wheelies near cars, trying to switch lanes. They surround some drivers who are trying to get over to the right-hand lane. Moments later, they ride in front of other cars, forcing people to slow down to avoid hitting them. The large group makes a right turn on the International Drive, riding on sidewalks near pedestrians as they approach Greensboro Drive around 2:30 this afternoon. Tonight, we spoke to a scared driver who saw the teens while her husband, a passenger, shot the video.
Well, police investigations are underway to identify dozens of teenage thrill seekers who documented their brazen e-bike spree through Brisbane. Let's go live now to Abby Guerin, who is in Brisbane. Abby, one was taken to hospital during the drama.
Lizzie, good morning. The 15-year-old boy suffered an arm injury after slamming into the wall of Brisbane's Clem 7 tunnel while recklessly speeding through there on an e-bike with his mates. Thankfully, he is okay, but you can imagine Queensland Police will have some pretty serious questions for him to answer. This all unfolded on Friday. The group of handlebar hoons recording their citywide rampage. They're captured in this video, which runs for about 20 minutes, flying over the Story Bridge here, speeding through Wollongabba, narrowly dodging drivers and pedestrians. You really have to see it to believe it. Lizzie, they certainly made no secret of the fact this is all for social media stardom, but Queensland does have tough penalties for those who post and boast about their crimes online.
And a wild scene in downtown LA where a group of people riding in all-terrain vehicles, ATVs, they took over the streets. They zipped down the streets running red lights, and you might be surprised at the response from law enforcement. Let's go live to Fox 11's Ed Lascos in downtown on this ATV street. You called it, it's not a takeover officially, it's a ride-on?
Ride out is what they're calling, Marlon. Don't feel bad. I've been learning all about what they call it too. The ride out. It really means a group of bikers getting together in a convoy and then tearing through the streets of downtown. One of the most popular places for this type of activity, the ride outs. Okay, you know what it is? Now have a look at exactly what it is. To the video we go. Check it. There it is. See it for yourself. This ride out. Down on Figueroa over by the Coliseum last night, you have dozens of riders here on their ATVs, their quads, their e-bikes, their motorcycles in that convoy, zipping through traffic at times, blowing through red lights, other times stopping for the lights and doing all kind of stunts right in the middle of it, that busy Figueroa, whether they're doing popping wheelies or zipping around, having a good time, and at one point even pulling up to an LAPD police cruiser, a black and white, as it stopped at a stoplight at an intersection. And they just drive by and the officer does nothing, doesn't light them up, doesn't give them a warning, doesn't do anything. That's brought some criticism, saying the police aren't doing their job. LAPD command explaining why that happened, saying it's what the officers are trained to do. It's called a balance test, which means you balance out whether it's worth lighting up these bikers engaging in perhaps a high-speed chase, all to give them a minor warrant. Give them a minor warrant at the risk of endangering somebody who's innocent.
A big warning from sheriff's investigators in East County this afternoon after surveillance video shows kids on e-bikes and e-motorcycles pulling late-night pranks on homeowners. Tony Shen is live in Santee with video and reaction from neighbors. Tony.
Yeah, you know, Christina, those kids were caught on camera, many cameras, basically riding up and down the street you see behind me. Now, the deputies say these pranks might be funny to these kids, but they're certainly not funny to them.
Excuse me.
Pulling right up to the front door on an e-bike, this rider smacks the doorbell, yells some profanity, and takes off down Canberry Drive in Santee. Other surveillance cameras also show a group of riders traveling through the neighborhood after midnight on March 22nd. Doorbell ditching homes before quickly taking off into the darkness.
You're waking somebody up from dead sleep that they don't know what's going on. You have a duty to protect your house, your home, your family, and that's a good way to get yourself killed.
Josh Wells saw the same group of kids on his surveillance cameras.
You have a job to teach your kids what, right from wrong.
He wonders if their parents have any idea what their kids are doing late at night on e-bikes.
If you're not watching your kids what they're doing, you're going to get a phone call, you're going to get a visit from either they're being arrested or somebody shot them.
And at Santee Sheriff's Station, that is a major concern for Captain Chris Catra, who says they've gotten calls from residents about the late night pranks.
They're banging loudly on the doors or even in some cases kicking them, causing damage. Well, this causes immense fear in the homeowner. They think either someone's breaking in, they call 911. It creates an emergency response from us to come to their home because they're calling in a break-in in progress. And it's very dangerous.
Captain Catra says the bikes are also dangerous because some can go upwards of 50 to 60 miles an hour, like e-motorcycles or E-Motos for short.
The argument I get when I post about this online and when I discuss it online, some of the pushback against this is, oh, it's just kids being kids. When we were kids, we rode mini bikes. When we were kids, we rode skateboards and BMX bikes in the street. Every generation does this. This is just kids being kids, for this generation. But here's the thing. There's a big difference between riding BMX bikes in the street or riding a skateboard in the street that goes 20 miles an hour and a 12 kilowatt E-Moto that does 65 miles per hour. And the other big thing is, in the past, when we were kids, there was no YouTube. There was no global social media promoting irresponsible riding among kids. There are very, very different past experiences and present experiences of youth riding mini bikes, BMX bikes, and dirt bikes earlier. Like I said, there was no YouTube. There was no social media. People like me who grew up in the 70s and 80s and even 90s, we had our own, versions of E-Motos, dirt bikes, mini bikes, go-karts. During that time, most of the vehicles that we had when we were kids were less powerful than modern ones, with E-Motos that can go 60 or 70 miles an hour. But the thing is, when we were kids, we rode primarily within our local neighborhoods, and we were afraid of cops. We didn't want to have any kind of interaction with the police, and we tried to stay away from it at all. From my own experience growing up in Detroit, I bought a YZ80 with my parents' help and me working hard at the age of 10. I was riding a YZ80 younger than most of these kids riding E-Motos. And the thing is, I rode it mostly off-road. There were dirt trails near where I was, and I would carefully ride it through kind of a baseball field type park to get to those dirt trails. And the thing is, back then, there was parental guidance. There was supervision, We would ride on the street occasionally around the block in our neighborhood, but always looking out for the police. And one time I got ticketed by the police riding in a park, and I had to go to juvie with my mom. And I was embarrassed and ashamed that she had to do that with me, and I wanted to never put her through it again. So anyway, we were concerned with consequences. We never imagined that we could just ride on the street with no consequences. Our YZ80s, our dirt bikes, ride them anywhere on main streets, and it was kind of ridiculous thought. So the thing is, yes, it's true. Kids will be kids, and every generation has its own thing. The current environment that we live in now is totally different because it's shaped significantly by the influence of social media. Okay, now I'm going to talk about something that I guess other people have been afraid to discuss on public forums, afraid to kind of call it out, the truth of what it is, but it needs to be discussed. And that is the financial incentive to promote irresponsible, illegal, stupid, and outrageous riding. Yes, there is a financial incentive to promote the worst possible type of activity for 12 to 15-year-olds. Now the thing is, here's the model, the business model I'm gonna talk about. The business model for YouTube, for TikTok, for Instagram, and I'm not just talking about the main influencer with millions of followers. I'm not gonna mention the name, not even that, but people with smaller followings as well. So here's the business model for outrageous and stupid behavior. The more outrageous the video, the more illegal the behavior is. The more outrageous the behavior is, the more extreme the behavior, and I'm talking about group rideouts, illegal group rideouts, flying past police, wheeling through traffic, all the stupidity, right? Well, the more outrageous it is, guess what? The more views it gets. The more views it gets, the more YouTube or other social media platform ad revenue it gets. The more ad revenue it gets, the more money the producer of the video channel gets. So the more views, the more outrageous, the more views, the more money the producer gets. So there's a financial incentive for social media influencers and others on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram to do the stupidest, most outrageous, most idiotic things in their videos, because that's what gets more views and that's what brings in more money. So overall, in brief, the system is fucked up. In that it encourages the most outrageous, illegal, and stupid activity, and kids see that, young influential kids, teenagers, preteens, and want to imitate and model their behavior after that. And the irony and the sad thing is that if a video is produced saying, here's the right thing to do, here you need to ride carefully, you need to ride respectfully, watch out for pedestrians, don't wheelie through traffic, don't draw attention to yourself. A video saying all the correct things to do to not cause trouble for the E-Moto community and not hurt yourself and people, that video is going to get much fewer views than, oh, we did an illegal ride out and police chased us, bro. That's going to get 5 million views, while a video saying to do the right thing and ride respectfully is going to get 5,000. So the system is effed up. That's the bottom line. Okay, I'm going to try to make this as brief as possible, but there's a lot of info and I'll try and make it short. I need to give you a brief history of the entire E-Moto world and the concept of fast electric bike. I need to give perspective to the whole problem now. I have a unique perspective on this because I was there at the beginning of the E-Moto boom, the very beginning of the surround world, together with Eric and the people at Lunicycle back in 2016, 2017. And the thing is, I hate to say it, but I kind of anticipated this problem happening even 10 years ago in 2016 if E-Motos became super popular. So now, the first thing about the history of E-Moto is we have to talk about the fast e-bike community, which preceded the E-Moto world. It came before it. Fast electric bike as a concept and fast electric bike as a group and sort of an ethos was really started by Eric Hicks and Luna, of course, and his friend Luke, who was also into DIY building fast e-bikes at the time, and he later on became the main battery engineer for Zero motorcycles.
It's rolling now.
Okay, light risk. Your risk. And the bike is dangerous. Yes. Okay. Oh my God.
So back then, even before E-Motos, I was into building fast e-bikes and battery packs starting in 2015, 2016. And the whole philosophy behind fast electric bike that Eric had was that you're going to be building a bicycle, and we're talking about, dual suspension bike, mountain bike, or fat bike, but you're building a bike that looks like a regular bicycle, a bike you can ride quietly and sort of stealthily when you're around other people. Say you're on a pedestrian path or a mixed-use trail, you have a stealthy vehicle that you can kind of ride quietly when you're around other people, but it's got huge performance potential under the hood. It's kind of like having a minivan on the outside and a Ferrari engine in the engine compartment. You got something that looks conservative, but it has really high performance potential. So when you're not near pedestrians, you're not around other people, you're not in a place like in front of your high school at 2:30 p.m. when classes get out, and you're not in a place where it's idiotic to go fast, but you're in an empty place or a place where it is safe to go fast. You have that power where you can go fast either on trails or on the streets if no one else is around. Anyway, so I really like the whole concept of fast electric bike. It made great sense to me because at the time, back then I was living in LA, and I would take my fast e-bikes into the Malibu Mountains and Malibu, Calabasas, and mixed-use trails, and you're riding the bike, you just go by, hikers, you go quietly and pedal, you say hello, and people are friendly, not causing problems with other pedestrians, with other bicyclists, and with police. And back then, I also had the first E-Moto, which I'm going to talk about here in a second, the Coburg Freerider, and that was definitely called more attention to itself. So, again, the whole ethos of fast electric bike is you're going to try to ride stealthily, you're going to ride like a normal bicycle and try to stay under the radar so you're not getting negative attention, you're not getting police attention. Okay, so that was the concept of fast electric bike. Plus, back around the same time in 2016, I imported into the US arguably the first E-Moto that was ever produced, and that was a Coburg Freerider from Czech Republic. I absolutely loved that little bike. It was great. I wrote a review of it, of the Freerider, for Eric's website, electricbike.com. It's still on there. That was my first contribution to the website, and I absolutely loved the Freerider. It definitely was lighter and smaller and more kind of mountain bike-ish than the E-Motos we have today, but nevertheless, super fun. So when I had that bike, I remember talking to Eric about it. I brought it down to the shop, to the Luna shop, and let the guys look at it and ride it. They really liked it. They thought it was really fun, handled good, but the top speed was pretty disappointing. It was like 32 miles an hour. Also, it's very expensive as far as selling in the US because basically it was a handmade bike in the Czech Republic, and they were very expensive. So, we thought US wasn't going to be a big market for it. So then, only a few months after that, when I brought the Freerider down to the shop, I was back again at Luna and talking to Eric, and he said, there's this new bike out of China that's called the Suron. I'm looking at them. They're pretty interesting. He's like, they're Chinese, but they're good quality. It's not the usual Chinese crap. He showed me some photos of them and the specs, and I was like, yeah, it looks pretty cool. It's faster than the Coburg. It looks really nice. And Eric was like, well, I'm thinking about buying a container full and getting the exclusive distributorship for the U.S., for the Suron. And you have to remember at the time, back then, Luna and Eric, they were all about bicycles. Everything that they had, everything we talked about was something with pedals, with bikes. So to have just a motorcycle without pedals, this was a totally kind of new and foreign and a little bit kind of scary concept. So, Eric said he was thinking about getting them. And I was thinking, well, if they got popular, what would happen? So my first question to him was, where are people going to ride them? Where are people going to use them? And because the thing is, what's the use case going to be? Because obviously, I thought at the time, obviously you can't ride them on the street. They're not street legal. You'd have huge problems with cops. Of course, I didn't anticipate what was going to happen. The thought of myself riding my Coburg on the street, I mean, in LA where I lived near Calabasas, everywhere you see cops around everywhere, and occasionally I would ride it around the block in my neighborhood a few times, but I could have never imagined taking my Coburg down the middle of Ventura Boulevard or Sunset or the friggin' the 101 Expressway. The thought of riding it on main streets, it was ridiculous to even entertain. So that was my first question to Eric, like, where are people going to ride them? Because it's not street legal. They're not going to ride in the street. Private lands, not many people have huge private lands to ride on. Okay, dirt trails and motocross tracks maybe. And he was like, well, I want to give it a try. It looks like a good bike. And that was it. So back then I thought the Suron was really cool. It looked awesome. I didn't know what the use case would be for it because I thought there's no way people are going to ride these on the street. Well, because if they did, it was going to become a huge effing problem. And now look here we are 10 years later, and people ride them on the street, and it's become a huge effing problem. Okay, now the final part of the video. What can be done about the problem? So, what are my ideas on solutions for this? Because it's become an epidemic level problem. Well, I'm not trying to be like, oh, back in my day, this is what we did. But I need to talk about this for a second because I grew up with motorcycles. I grew up with fast motorized things. As a kid, like I said, I had a YZ80 when I was 10, younger than most of these kids on E-Motos. I built gas-powered go-karts with Biggs & Stratton engines. I had gas-powered mopeds, mini bikes, BMX, skateboards, all that stuff. Now, when I was growing up in Michigan, the law was, and still in many states, it's obviously 16 was the age for a driver's license for car and for motorcycle endorsement. To ride a motorcycle on the street, you had to go to the DMV. Besides passing your driving test for car, you had to get pass your motorcycle test, written and riding test, and get your motorcycle endorsement. Now, the law at the time when I was growing up, and still in many places, is under 15, you couldn't legally ride anything motorized on the street. Well, now you can ride class 2, the under 28 mile per hour e-bikes under 15. Now, there was a distinction when you turned 15 when I was growing up, that at 15, and this may still be the case in many places, you can get your learner's permit for driving a car, which is, which I obviously look forward to doing. And for the first time, you could ride something motorized on the streets legally, but it was mopeds, and it was limited to under 50 cc, little 2-stroke, 1-cylinder, 50 cc engine, and 25 mile an hour maximum speed with pedal assist. Now, I had one of these wonderful vehicles back when the day I turned 15. I was saving up for it and got it. I hit the streets with this because at the time I was riding my BMX bike everywhere, bicycling. I had my YZ80, which I took on motocross tracks and dirt trails, but I never even thought about riding that far on the street. It was a ridiculous idea. So I was waiting for the day I turned 15, saved up, and I got one of these little, and here's some photos of it, little 50cc Puch mopeds. I just absolutely love that thing at age 15. It gave me my first taste of freedom, where I could actually ride a motorized thing, even though it went 30 miles an hour. I got to go see different areas, go from my home and go see Grosse Pointe, St. Clair Shores, Macomb Township. You could ride it on the street carefully, not on main traffic, main roads. But anyway, really like that thing. Compare that to now. Again, not trying to say back in my day, but it's absolutely true how spoiled many kids are. Again, how spoiled you are if you think about the ridiculous levels of performance, the power, the brake suspension, the performance envelope that our E-Motos have now. They not only exceeded my YZ80 back then, they exceed even 125 bikes, and some even exceed the power of a 250cc bike. So even with that, little 50cc motor and 25 mile an hour top speed, I was really overjoyed to have this little moped when I was 15. At least it got me to ride around different areas in my suburbs. So, like I said, I think kids in many cases are too spoiled by parents today. And the other thing that's obvious from all the problems we've been having, all the news stories I've shown you here, most kids at that age, 12, 13, 14, they're not mentally responsible. They have an underdeveloped still frontal brain lobe. They're not mentally developed enough to handle the power and responsibility that our E-Motos provide, something that can go 65 miles an hour. Sorry, when you're 12, you don't have the, mental capacity to ride that responsibly. I'm sorry, kids, if you're listening and you're giving a thumbs down to what I'm saying, but it's absolutely ridiculous to think that you have the right as a 12, 13, 14-year-old, where your cognitive processes, your decision-making processes, they're not there yet. They're not developed. The whole world is just, hey, man, let's do something cool and funny. Let's post it on social media and try and outdo each other in something, outrageous and stupid. That's like your whole world. Your brain hasn't matured enough to handle the power and the performance and all the stimuli of riding on the street, where you have to react to other cars, to other motorcycles, E-Motos, bicyclists, pedestrians. You're just not able to handle that. But they can easily and have resulted in and cause bodily harm and property damage to other people. So, you don't really have the right at 12, 13, 14 to ride something that powerful on the street. It's never been the case ever in history that us kids, when we were that age, nobody had the right to ride something that fast and powerful on the street. Okay, so let's talk about 16 age for riding E-Motos. A lot of people I see online are advocating for 16 minimum age with licensing. That's actually the law. That is actually the official law in California and a lot of places, but it's kind of hasn't been enforced. Cops have let it slide quite often in the past until it's become an epidemic level problem. Cops kind of, let it slide if you were under 16. But a lot of people are advocating for an enforced, where the law is actually enforced, 16 minimum age with licensing. You have to go to the DMV, get your motorcycle license, and unfortunately the E-Moto's got to have license plates, headlight, turn signal, all that stuff, which doesn't look great on it, but it's going to be required by the DMV. Now, the thing is, I want to play devil's advocate for a second and say, okay, but by saying that, does that mean that 12, 13, 14, 15-year-olds shouldn't be allowed to ride E-Motos at all? It's a great activity. It's exercise. It gets you outdoors, away from screens. It's super fun. No, that's not what I'm saying at all. I think 12, 13, 14, 50-year-olds should be able to enjoy E-Motos responsibly. There are ones who are intelligent and responsible, like I was at that age, who know how to ride responsibility. Not many, but there are some, but obviously not on the street and not in traffic. I would have never thought, like I said, to ride on main streets in my YZ80 when I was 12. It was kind of a ridiculous idea. So I think the only solution is going to be nothing for 15 and on the street, and 16 only, 16 and above with a license. Now, what about 12, 13, 14, 15? Like I said, they should be able to enjoy E-Motos too in a safe way. Well, in my opinion, the solution is that we need many, many more public lands that are used and made into off-road tracks. First of all, we need trails, many more trails that you can ride on, dirt trails. Obviously, some of them are going to be mixed-use trails, but we need trails where E-Moto riders can go and have fun and ride, responsibly off-road on trails. Now, of course, it depends on where you're at. If you're in a big metropolitan area, you're in Houston or New York City, there's not going to be many places nearby or hiking trails like that you can go riding on. But we need to use public resources and funds, and much more needs to be put into making many more, like I said, off-road trails and obviously motocross dirt tracks that you can ride on for 12, 13, 14, 15-year-olds, much more in every city, because E-Motos are not going to go away. They're going to get more and more popular, and we need safe, fun places where kids that age can ride. The other solution about that, the other issue about that is transportation. Now, when I was a kid and I was riding my YZ80 when I was 12, 13, 14, other than one little off-road trail that was about a mile away from my house, the only way that I could get to real motocross tracks or real, rural dirt roads in the country where you could ride from it was to bother my parents to put the YZ80 on the back of their car and put it on the car carrier and drive me 45 minutes outside the city where I could go riding. And we did that many times, that we took the YZ80 out to the motocross track, or we took it out to dirt trails. But it's not realistic to do that every day. So the other issue about this needs to be transportation related. There needs to be some sort of public transportation solution that kids in E-Motos can use to take their bikes to a safe place to ride. I know it's not an easy solution. Not every city has train, has some sort of subway, has some, bus transportation that you can use to easily take E-Motos and go to a safe place, because not everybody can bother their parents or has parents who can throw their bike on the car and take them to a safe place to ride. That's why kids are riding on the street, because it's closest place where you can ride to their house. So there has to be a transportation solution also to get to the safe places to ride. And like I said, E-Motos are not going away. They're not going to be all just sold and destroyed. It's growing every day. It's a very fun, great, exercise way to get out of the house and away from screens. It's a positive development, ecologically clean, economical to operate. There's so many positives about E-Moto as a great hobby and a great means of transport. So they're not going anywhere. They're just going to get more popular. There's going to be more and more of them in the world. So like I said, in conclusion, I think for 16 and over, it's going to be with a license only and testing, turn signals. And, for 12 to 15, we got to have much more non-street fun places to ride. So on how to resolve this huge epidemic of a problem we're having with teenagers with underdeveloped frontal lobes riding E-Motos in the street. Thanks. I'm sure there's going to be some dislikes on this, but hey, I got to talk about the situation, the reality, honestly, of how it is. So that's it. Thanks for watching.